I want to thank Minister Bushman that had to left and State Minister Lindner, both for your friendship and for your moral stand. I want to thank our hosts from Die Welt and the Jerusalem Post, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In the history of the Zionist movement, some believed that the solution of the Jewish problem through the establishment of a Jewish state would end the historical phenomenon of anti-Semitism. But long ago, we understood that this terrible hatred and persecution of Jews persists and thrives. It is probably here to stay. Yet, even the realists among us did not anticipate its resurgence again to such an extent. In universities, intellectual circles, online and on the streets, speaking Hebrew, wearing a kippah or Magen David are grounds for attack today in Europe, the United States, Canada, and further. In recent months, we have witnessed a strangling surge of hundreds of percent in anti-Semitic incidents in the most advanced countries in the world. Against this backdrop, this conference is especially important, and I want to congratulate the organizer, Die Welt and Jerusalem Post, for this crucial initiative, and all of you, the participants. It's hard to believe, but the eruption of this wave of new anti-Semitism came precisely after the heinous massacre on October 7th. An onslaught of mass murder, rape, beheading of victims, burning babies and children in ovens and homes. While kibbutzim were still under invasion of Hamas terrorists on a rampage of murder and rape, there was already a wave of anti-Semitism sweeping the web and the world. It's important to recognize the ideological sources of this murderous madness. According to Hamas, killing Jews is a religious command. This, by the way, is genocide. According to Hamas charter, Jews are responsible for every negative historical event in their eyes, including those in which they themselves was the victims. Among these events, it is all open in the Hamas charter, by the way. The French Revolution, the Communist Revolution, World Wars I and II, the establishment of the United Nations aimed at world domination, and the founding of the UN. The Palestinian Authority is a major center of institutionalized anti-Semitism, which also thrives in its educational system. And its leader, Mahmoud Abbas, has time and again voiced classic anti-Semitic expressions. Like in last August, when he claimed at a conference in Ramallah that Hitler did not annihilate the Jews because of their religion, but because of their role in usury and banking. Today, it is abundantly clear that the new anti-Semitism is against the state of the Jewish people. Classical anti-Semitism delegitimized and dehumanized Jews. The new anti-Semitism does the very same thing to their state. The calling card of today's anti-Semitism is the delegitimization of Israel and the denial of its right to self-defense. So here stands Israel, the most attacked country in the world, now besieged from 6 different fronts in the focus of modern blood label, aimed at trying its hands in an attempt to defend itself against the multi-front jihadist onslaught. The attack against Israel is militarily, ideological, political, and legal combined. This is an excellent opportunity to express our appreciation to Germany for its decision to stand by Israel in the outrageous process unfolding in the ICJ. Also deserving of appreciation are the steps taken by the German Minister of Justice and the German Minister of Interior to ban Hamas activity in Germany and publicly express support for it. The war that opened against Israel on October 7 is actually a war opened against the Jewish people and its collateral consequences, an extreme rise in anti-Semitism worldwide. Today, Jews almost everywhere in the world feel it. There is a rise of hundreds of % in anti-Semitic incidents worldwide, and Jewish communities feel insecure. I want to emphasize here what is ostensibly known, but in fact largely ignored. Israel's unilateral complete withdrawal from Gaza Strip in 2005. This withdrawal included the evacuation of our military forces from the Strip, all our communities, and even the evacuation of cemeteries and graves. All of this did not prevent Gaza from becoming a base of murderous aggression against Israel, a terror state shooting indiscriminately at Israel towns, villages, and citizens. As described in Hamas doctrine, non-Islamic sovereignty is forbidden on any part of Israel. So there is no difference in their eyes between the settlements evacuated by Israel in 2005 and the communities that was attacked, burned, and brutalized, killed their residents on October 7, 2023. This requires realistic assessment of the situation. International support for Israel's action in Gaza is still vital and necessary. We need it actually now more than we need it in October 7. Israel must remove the threat, and the threat will only be removed with the destruction of Hamas' military and governmental capabilities in Gaza. This is, of course, vital also in efforts to achieve stability in the region. We are aware that many of our friends worldwide still believe and support in what is called the two-state solution. I want to warn that in the current situation, there is a great danger, almost certainty, that a Palestinian state will be a Hamas state that will destabilize the region and continue alongside with its extreme Islamist partners efforts to achieve their goal, which is the destruction of Israel. But I want to say specifically to all those who still support the two-state solution, the most dangerous thing is unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state. This is not about establishing a Palestinian state within the context, within the framework of resolving the historical conflict with Israel. This conflict will be solved only by direct negotiations between the parties. Rather, it's a process where Palestinians won't have to pay the necessary price of compromise, but will continue the conflict with Israel from an improved position of a state which inherently undermines Israel's ability to defend itself. without them relinquishing any of their extreme demands, the return of so-called refugees and Palestine from the river to the sea. Such a move will perpetuate the conflict instead of resolving it. Therefore, I urge our friends, don't. Last thing, but more importantly, earlier this week in Rafah, our security forces rescued 2 of our citizens, the hostages Fernando Simon Marmon, 60 years old, and Luis Har, 70 years old, who were held for over than 4 months in brutal captivity. The abduction of civilians from their homes, from their beds, their mistreatment and denial of basic human rights is a phenomenon that the entire Western world should condemn, must condemn, and fight against. Any failure to have utter moral clarity here is unacceptable. Otherwise, it will become a pledge, and no one will be safe in their homes, not in Israel, not in Europe, not elsewhere. I call on every leader, on every freedom-loving nation and person, exert all political pressure to help release our 134 hostages who are still held in Gaza in an inhumane manner. And I see here one of the mothers of the hostages, Meirav Leshem Gonen, that her daughter is still in captivity in Gaza Strip right now. Again, thank you, the organizer, for this important conference, and I wish success to all the panels and the discussions in this conference. Thank you.